If you encounter technical issues during the broadcast, please call the Oregon Studio Hotline at 336-831-0864. Station's your final time cue will be with 15 seconds until airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Duck Insider.
These are good problems to have, right?
Very.
So much success that you have more than one place to be.
5-3, touchdown, Oregon.
Off a dribble, launches, and hits the three. Oregon leads.
What a great opportunity it is to be able to play at University of Oregon.
I'm just incredibly proud to be a part of something like this.
She wants another three. Oh, three in a row.
Big Ten champions.
National champions, yes. The Ducks take home an indoor national title.
We are so privileged and so fortunate. We get to see all these young people. We get to see this incredible growth, which is what college is all about.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
This was one of the weekends that makes you so proud to be a Duck. All the way around, this was just a stellar weekend in Oregon athletics from start to finish. On Friday to Saturday, I felt like headlined on Saturday with the Oregon football spring game all the way through to Sunday. It really felt like quintessential. This is what Oregon is about. At the Oregon spring game on Saturday, the atmosphere was absolutely electric at the spring game. And I'm so glad that Dan Lanning decided to keep the spring game around for the community of Oregon, because this atmosphere was really good. It was the fans out at Autzen Stadium experiencing what Autzen Stadium is like for the first time, maybe for some student athletes, and it felt to me like a transitionary period. The spring game day, doing it right in the middle of NFL draft day, it really feels like, okay, the 2024 season is done and the 2025 season is upon us, because Oregon had a really great weekend, not only for the professionals that are leaving Oregon and going to the pros, but also to experience what the spring game is like. There had to be 40, 45, maybe even 50,000 fans in the stands at Autzen Stadium, and it felt like a community event. It really did. The atmosphere was absolutely electric. It felt like an Oregon game day. And it was so great getting everybody back around Autzen. All of the products that had left were back on our OSN call. Got to hear from Jackson Powers Johnson. Also got to hear from one of the guest coaches in Christian Gonzalez on our OSN call. The guest coaches coming back: Rich Brooks, Christian Gonzalez coaching one team, Nick Galliotti, Bucky Irving coaching another team. It really felt like it was a celebration of Oregon football for Oregon football spring game, and you can see with how great the players and how they were interacting with all of the elements of an Oregon game day, and it felt like football. There are some times with spring games around the rest of the country that it doesn't feel like football. I felt like we really got to experience some football at Autzen Stadium. Got to see a lot of the new faces for Oregon. Got to see a lot of the competition battles. It's a spring game. It's great having all the fans there, but it's also a practice. That was the last practice of spring until the guys come back in late July, early August for fall camp leading up to the 2025 season. And you could see some of the competition on the field, why the decisions for Coach Lanning and his coaching staff are going to be so hard to see who's going to get playing time, because we got to see a lot of guys really step up in huge ways and a lot of new faces, whether it was Dylan Gresham making a nice catch down the sideline, scampering for a touchdown on a slant route, to Corian Moore going down the sideline, making a nice basket catch, Blake Purchase scooping and scoring. It felt like Oregon football. It was a euphoric day at the spring game on Saturday, and I felt like the pinnacle of what was a long weekend, because not only did Oregon have a successful spring game, the Ducks also had many drafted in the NFL draft. The Ducks also swept Oregon State on the baseball diamond. The Ducks also swept Indiana on the softball diamond. Oregon also took home a ton of women's golf accolades, had a strong showing at the men's golf Big Ten championship, had a strong showing at the National Acrobatics and Tumbling National Championships, and at both the Drake relays and the Penn relays for track and field, put together some quality performances. It is a jam-packed show today, but I just thought that being at Autzen Stadium, the energy around Autzen, it really felt like an Oregon game day, and there's no one else in the country. There is nowhere else in the country that does a spring game quite like Oregon does. A lot of spring games are going away. And for Oregon, with the free admission, with the food trucks around, with the donations to Food for Lane County, it was a really fun experience to be a part of, and it felt like a special day in spring, sort of feeling a little bit of a taste of fall. But all in all, it was a football game, and it actually was a practice, and a great practice to see all the fans out watching. But there also were some X's and O's things that Coach Lanning has to decipher from his last spring practice before this team gets rolling through the summer and then into fall camp. And Coach Lanning, after the game, he met with the media, and I think just all in all, encapsulating how special of a day it was for Oregon football and Oregon athletics as a whole. Coach Lanning, after the game, I think just really proud of the fans coming out to Autzen Stadium and experiencing the moment. Let's hear from Coach Lanning.
Awesome day to be a Duck, man. Just a lot of fun to experience the atmosphere that this place creates. Big win by softball earlier today. About to have an awesome baseball game here in a second. And our crowd was absolutely unbelievable, right? They always show up and show out. Really proud of that. A lot to clean up, right, film-wise, right? I know you guys will over-critique it, right? You won't critique it harder than us. That's okay, right? A lot of positives, but certainly some stuff for us to improve, and that's why they call it a spring game. So can open it up from there.
Just your assessment of the quarterbacks with an audience behind him, and then also some high leverage situations. Like, how do they handle it?
Yeah, some good, some bad. It's kind of the same answer you'll get from me a lot. There was some really positive plays. Thought we got in a funk it a little bit in the middle, started off a little bit hot, operated well in some situations, and then some, we could have certainly been better.
Dan, has the defense been this dominant and the offensive line this porous throughout the spring, or was this just a showcase today?
I wouldn't say that. No, there's been some really good back and forth throughout the spring. Nice shot, though.
A big game for Dylan Gresham today. How does he factor into the wide receiver rotation?
Yeah, I would say that Dylan's probably one of our most improved players from this past season to what he's done now. He's continued to make big plays on the field, and done a really good job for us. He showed up today. I think we all saw what he's capable of today.
There's so much hype around Kenyon coming into this year. Just what was it like for you to see him live up to that hype today?
Well, I've seen it every day that he's been here, right? This is a guy that's constantly improved, that's worked really, really hard, embraced whatever role he's wearing for the team, and been able to help us since the day he got here. So, I think you saw some with Kenyon, what we get to see every single day in practice.
Going back to Dylan for a second, just where has he improved from your comments of taking big steps, and how was reflective of today's performance across all of spring ball?
Yeah, probably biggest piece, knowing his job, and then being able to count on him when the ball's coming his direction to come down with it. I thought he made some contested catches today, made some great plays on the ball. He's become much better as a returner, and that's just with reps and consistency. But I think he would be the first one to tell you, hey, I got even more room to grow. I got more to even improve.
You said at the start, really successful day for the program, both the NFL draft and here. How do you kind of use this?
Yeah, what are we sitting at now? How many we had? 10?
Yeah.
Pretty awesome, right?
When you have so many high-profile recruits on campus, how do you kind of use the momentum from this and build on it?
Yeah, proof's in the pudding, right? I mean, you just look at it. You're setting a program record for guys being able to draft it, to get drafted in the NFL this year. Every year our draft picks have gone up since we've been here, and that's really credit to those players that have worked extremely hard, get an opportunity to live out their dream. Really excited for them, and really grateful for everything they did for Oregon.
I was going to ask about Luke, who maybe gets overlooked sometime in the competition, but he looked like he really belonged out there. Kind of the progress he's made and what stood out with him this spring.
Yeah, and I think every quarterback has a different skill set. And Luke's always been really an athletic player, but I think where he's really come on this year is throwing on time, taking what's there, becoming a complete quarterback from that standpoint. But he had some really good moments this spring, and certainly some good moments today.
Dan, we saw Blake Purchase kind of playing out in coverage against tight ends as an edge pass rusher and playing some off-ball stuff. What about his skill set makes him so dynamic to do that, and what do you kind of see for him in 2025?
Yeah, Blake's another one that I would say, great improvements this offseason. He's worked really hard. He's changed his body. He's become really comfortable in the system as far as what his job is and his responsibilities. He's a complete outside linebacker right now for us, and if he continues to take that same growth this summer, he's going to be a big impact player for us.
You guys have a lot of youth in the secondary. What were you excited from those guys in terms of just being able to get to see them in Autzen Stadium in a game experience like this?
Yeah, I think it's a great environment for them, right? Like I said, not everybody in the nation gets to play in an environment like that for a spring game. So for them to get some opportunities, there's going to be some stuff that we can learn from. To go against, some really good wideouts each day. We talk about iron sharpens iron. I think we got to see some of that.
Hey, Dan, what were the biggest priorities for you with the defense coming off the season and throughout the spring? Like, what were the areas you most wanted to address, and just collectively with that group, how would you characterize the growth?
Yeah, I mean, one, it's a completely different group, right? So I think there's a lot of new experience that's there. So I think you got to start with saying, okay, what can we operate and what can we execute? It's not going to be the same as last season. And even the season before that, our number one call on defense was different than it was this past year. So we'll adapt that to fit our personnel. Biggest thing I want to see is guys out there communicating. I think we could have tackled much better than we did today, but when you don't go live tackling every day in spring, you're going to see some of that as we get closer to fall camp. I think you'll see that improve, and they're going to get some really good playmakers on the other side of the ball. But ultimately, we have to be a team that can stop the run, take the ball away. You saw a takeaway today, show up and make a big play. Actually a couple takeaways, in today's game. But ultimately, assessing this group as an individual group has nothing really to do with last season, right? And there's areas of growth, and there's a lot of stuff that we put in and done differently that we didn't show you today, right? We're not trying to win the scrimmage, right? We're out there trying to see our guys play football.
We got to see Jerry Mixon today with extended run next to Bryce. Just how much of what you've seen from him throughout the spring, Dan, gives you confidence that he can be in that role for probably the most snaps that we've seen in him from defense?
Most what?
Most snaps we've seen from him on defense, possibly in the fall, that he could be in position for that for you guys, and whether you do or don't end up pursuing somebody in the portal at linebacker here.
We won't pursue anybody in the portal at linebacker. I feel really good about our linebacker group. I like the guys we have. Jerry's a guy that's worked extremely hard, done an unbelievable job, and continues to improve. And when he keeps that as focus, he's really going to be a guy that can help us. But there's a lot of guys in that room that I think can play winning football. And it comes with experience.
Jerry as well as Dylan Williams were all over the field today. I was going to ask about Jerry, but how do you see them fitting into the linebacker mix once fall comes?
Yeah, when you talk about really our pillars on defense, we start with relentless effort. So you got to have guys that are running sideline to sideline. Linebackers' important job is getting everybody else lined up, and that's a really big piece of it. You saw Jeff go to the Chiefs today. That's a big piece of that. He was a great communicator, right? So these guys can grow from a communication standpoint, but when they have relentless effort, when they attack the ball, when they play for the guy next to them, those are going to be separating factors.
You've been asked about a couple of guys specifically already, but a few guys today that redshirted last year potentially have the opportunity for bigger roles this year and jumped out today. Just what's your sense for this whole month, the development of guys who were here last year and have had opportunities, and how you feel those guys are progressing?
Yeah, excited about the entire group. I mean, this program is about growth, right? And you never know exactly what your opportunity will look like and when that'll necessarily come, but you want to be ready for that opportunity. And I think we've seen a lot of guys take big steps, this offseason. But I'm watching the same thing you guys watch. There's a lot of room for improvement on both sides of the ball. So you see a big play, you get really excited about the offense, but then you worry about the defense, right? You see a sack, you get really excited about the defense, and then worried about the offense. That's the way these things are supposed to go, right? But ultimately, overall, I feel like we have a group that attacked every day, really strove to improve. What can't happen now is us stop and wait till fall camp to keep improving.
Is there any reasoning behind the red jersey for Jaleel Florence? I'm curious if you have any updates on Devin Jackson, Aiden Breeden, or...
Yeah, there's some guys that we held out really more out of caution than necessary. Jaleel's been a guy that's been able to practice, but he'd have a banged-up hand that we wanted to protect, so didn't want to make him full contact.
What's just the order of business for you guys the next couple weeks into the next couple months now of looking over this film and getting ready for fall camp?
Yeah, a lot of pieces, right? Our coaches will be going on the road in May for recruiting. We'll do some exit meetings with our players so we can identify new growth areas for us post-spring. What are the things that we need to attack to improve on? Continue to develop and get those guys strong in the weight room and take advantage of that and really attack the classroom as well. So a lot of things going on. We're coming into the summer window where we'll have, camps where we can go evaluate guys as well. But a lot of things.
One of the players that stood out to me today was Gage. Has he been hitting field goals like that?
Yeah, it was pretty awesome to see, right? Gage hit some big kicks. Overall, special teams, there were some positives. There were some real negatives there, too. So, you asked me about linebacker, maybe punter, if there's a punter out there available, right? We've been more consistent. They didn't show up today. That was some of the poor kicks that I've seen here. On the same note, seeing us hit some big field goals like that, I don't know what the distances were exactly. It was like 47, 52, 54. Okay. So big kicks, from those guys, and that was great to see.
I was going to actually ask you about Gage. I'm curious if you've seen that consistency from that distance, and kind of obviously Atticus is kind of the standard here, but is there that competition kind of ongoing?
There's a competition at every position, right? And Atticus has been really good for us and done a good job, but Gage is a guy that we are really excited for in the future. He's done a really good job. We've always felt like he was going to be a really good player, and certainly, stepping up in those moments today were big pieces of that.
Hey Dan, maybe it's obvious internally, but I'm just curious. It's the first time that you haven't had an incumbent quarterback that you've tried to you're going to address it internally. Why not dip into the portal and pursue a quarterback?
Because I like who we have on our roster. Yeah, I like the guys that we got, right? And that's always been something. You want to create competition in every position. We've utilized the portal at times when we felt like that helped us and enhanced us, had an opportunity to go have success. There's also sometimes the portal, it's not all under your control. If you're lower in a certain roster spot, you need to be able to add guys to make sure that you can go out there and practice. Roster limits have changed some of those things. There's been some other adjustments, and we'll see how those rules continue to change and shape. But ultimately, I feel good about the guys we have at that position.
With the change of position coach at receiver and losing some top guys, obviously the NFL, how do you feel about the room as a whole, Dan, at this point in the spring, and to Evan specifically, where he was able to make progress when he's been on the shelf for a little bit?
Yeah, I think every one of those guys is growing, and really excited about what June had done here in the past, and really excited about what Ross has added to that. We have a talented group. There's a lot of opportunity sitting there for guys to go out and make plays, and I think I saw some of those guys making plays that haven't necessarily had those opportunities yet today. Dylan was one that you guys mentioned earlier. Saw some big catches from Kyler, some catches from J-Mac. So there's a lot of guys that were out there, making an impact. And we have young guys and more veteran guys really across the board, but I feel really good about that room.
That's Dan Lanning, his spring game reactions. Whenever we talk to Coach Lanning, it's brought to you by the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center, better cancer care close to home. And he was talking a little bit about the depth. And the spring game, that's what's always going to be on display is the depth. But what really stood out to me is it didn't really seem like there was that much drop-off in the depth from the quarterback position to the wide receiver grouping to the defensive backfield to the edge rushers to even the tight end position. Kenyon Sadiq looked awesome in the game, but then you also saw some young players make some grabs over the middle. You saw a few transfers this is a really good opportunity in the spring game to see some transfers for the first time. And, yeah, you're following on Twitter or X and you see the reports of, oh, yeah, this guy comes in, and you look at his stats from the previous school, and, oh, he's pretty good. He can probably make an impact, but this is the first time you get to see him. And there were some players, talking about the tight end, Shamari Johnson made a big impact. There were a lot of players who made big impacts. Dylan Thieneman in the back end made a big impact. Just seeing those guys for the first time, really fun. Have them putting on an Oregon uniform with fans in the stands for the first time. That's what the spring game is all about. And I mentioned at the top of the show that spring game Saturday, with how it fell in the calendar, really felt like a transitionary period, being at the end of the NFL draft, on day 3 of the NFL draft, and then it being the spring game day. It felt like, all right, the book is now closed on the 2024 season, and it's time to open up the 2025 year. And, well, to close the book, we have to recap, and we have to talk about all the guys that got selected in the NFL draft, breaking down a bunch of pro Ducks. Coming up when we return after this on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
Back to the Country Financial Studios in 60 seconds. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
Are you prepared for an emergency or disaster? Because it's not a matter of if, but when. Don't find yourself saying,
I'll trust water bottles and a flashlight to save the day, but I'll be proved wrong.
With a tornado approaching, I'll realize that I like a wheelchair-accessible shelter.
When the floodwaters rise, I'll be up in the attic with 20 cans of beans. It's a recipe for disaster.
let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Get started at ready.gov/older adults. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Comes to a gun suicide attempt, all it takes is a moment.
My son, Ricky, took his life by the use of a firearm. It broke me, and I contemplated suicide. My grandson, I was gonna have to be here for him. I still own my firearm. I keep it in a safe because I want to keep my grandson and myself safe.
Store your guns, locked, unloaded, and away from ammo. Hear more safe stories at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by Brady and the Ad Council.
I'm coming home to the place that I remember. Back to the land of my first love. Would you spread wide your arms for this wayward son? I left my heart in home.
It was a record day and a record weekend in Oregon athletics in so many different ways over the weekend. We're on Duck Insider in the Country Financial Studio. Ryan Milano here with you. And the NFL draft was Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and the Ducks, it feels like year after year, continue to put together better result after better result at the NFL draft under Coach Lanning. And this year, Oregon had so many players taken in the NFL draft. In the first round, Joey broke it down a little bit for you on Friday's show, but the Ducks, Derek Harmon was the first Duck off the board at pick number 21. He went to the Steelers, and then a few picks after, at pick number 29, Josh Connerly went to the Washington Commanders. And in the first round, Oregon had multiple first-round picks for the fourth time in program history, and the first time since 2015. So after Harmon and Connerly went on day one, on day two, Terrence Ferguson started off in the second round at the 46th pick as he goes to the Los Angeles Rams. He was followed with a third-round pick by Jordan Birch, who went to the Arizona Cardinals at the 72nd pick. On the defensive side still, Jamari Caldwell going to Los Angeles and the Chargers with the 86th pick. And then Dylan Gabriel off the board going to the Cleveland Browns in the third round at pick number 94. Made a few national headlines with Dylan Gabriel making that, or getting selected to the Cleveland Browns in that spot. And Oregon, after the first 2 days, had 6 guys drafted, and it felt really good. And then you go to day 3, don't have anybody in the 4th round, and then in the 5th round, guys really started falling off the board. Jordan James to the 49ers with pick 147. 11 picks later, actually 9 picks later, bad math. Jeffrey Bassa went to the Chiefs with the 156th pick. I'm sure Coach Lanning is happy about having a Duck on his Kansas City Chiefs. Johnny Cornelius went in the 6th round at the 204th pick to the Dallas Cowboys. And then Tez Johnson in round 7 at pick 235 going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, joining up with Bucky Irving. That felt really cool. That was 10 Ducks drafted. Broke the program record of 8 from last season. The Ducks, in 3 years under Coach Lanning, have had 24 Ducks selected in the NFL draft. 10 Ducks is nothing to sneeze at. 2 Ducks in the first round. Really strong results for Oregon football in the NFL draft. But Oregon produced a lot more pro talent than that, because there's the undrafted free agent period that then happens right after the NFL draft. And Oregon had quite a few undrafted free agents signing to teams. Dante Manning, he went to the Atlanta Falcons as an undrafted free agent. In the secondary as well, Tysheem Johnson joined the Chicago Bears as an undrafted free agent. Trayshawn Holden went to Dallas as an undrafted free agent, joining the Cowboys. Jabbar Muhammad as an undrafted free agent going to the Jacksonville Jaguars. He'll be joined by Patrick Herbert, also going to the Jacksonville Jaguars as an undrafted free agent. Nico Reed going to the Chargers as an undrafted free agent, and Brandon Johnson to the Eagles as an undrafted free agent. 5 of Oregon's secondary members were picked up as undrafted free agents just after the draft to NFL squads. All of these guys will have opportunities throughout camp to earn spots on rosters, and that's really, really cool to see. Oregon producing NFL products year after year, and when you're the number 1 team in the country for so much of the season like Oregon was, well, it makes sense that you have, 17 guys either drafted or signed as undrafted free agents? Yeah. That seems just about right. So congratulations to all the Ducks taken over the weekend at the NFL draft. It was really cool to see all the Ducks go off the board. Makes you really proud to be a Duck around this time of year. And like I mentioned, that I think officially closes the 2024 season and that book, and then opens up a whole bunch of new possibilities for what's to come coming up in the 2025 year, and all the expectation and the excitement. And we're only 4 months away from fall camp. So it'll be here before we know it, and it'll be so much fun. It was not just a big weekend for Oregon football, though. Oregon baseball had one heck of a strong weekend and a sweep over Oregon State. It's always good when you sweep the Beavers. We're breaking down Oregon's 3-game sweep over OSU coming up when we return after this on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Duck Insider continues from the Country Financial Studios in 1 minute on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
This message is for Shauna, my mom, who just finished her high school diploma. I wanted to say I'm so proud of you for finishing school. You taught me it's never too late to achieve your dreams. I hope to make you as proud as you have made me.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
You said you'd never buy your kid candy from the checkout aisle.
Or forget extra diapers.
You'd never lick your thumb to clean their face. Never, ever become a minivan mom. So when you say you'd never leave your child in a hot car, no, it can happen. Cars get hot fast, and kids can be at risk in temperatures as low as 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Never happens. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
You know you make me wanna kick my heels up and throw my hands up and throw my head back and come on now. Don't forget to say you will. Don't forget to say
Back inside the Country Financial Studio on Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Ryan Milano here with you after what was a really strong Oregon football weekend that led in to a really strong Oregon baseball weekend at PK Park. A sweep of Oregon State. For the first time since 2011, Oregon gets the weekend series sweep over the Beavers. Granted, series not over for the season. They will play a game on Tuesday up in Corvallis to close out the season series, but sweeping a weekend against Oregon State, man, it feels good. And the Ducks got it done against a talented Oregon State team. Third-ranked Oregon State team coming into the series. They're not ranked third anymore. Oregon rising up the polls as they continue to trickle in throughout the day. Oregon as high as number 6 in the most recent polls coming out this week from what I saw, accumulating all of the different publications. And the way it started for Oregon was on Friday, and there's nothing quite like a Friday when Grayson Grinsel's on the bump, because I'm not sure the last time Oregon's lost a Friday. Actually, I am sure the last time Oregon has lost a Friday was against Rhode Island really early in the season, which means Grayson Grinsel has won a heck of a lot of games to this point in the year. He went 7 innings, allowed 4 hits and just 2 runs, gave Oregon a really strong chance to win. And when Mason Neville hits a home run and Jacob Walsh hits a home run and the Ducks get a critical 2-out, 2 RBI single from Ryan Cooney, well, those 2 runs given up by Grayson Grinsel were enough for Oregon to win 4-2 in the ballgame. Seth Maddox came in for the 9th inning, got a clutch save for Oregon in the 9th. Strong work in the back end of the bullpen, and that started out the series strong. Then you go into spring game Saturday for Oregon football, and it's one of the best baseball days of the year when the spring game's going on at Autzen Stadium, and then right after the spring game ends, you just walk over to PK Park, and, well, that's exactly what Bryce Betcher did, because he, in full pads, didn't shower, didn't do nothing, just straight walked off the field and then walked over to PK Park and in full pads threw out the first pitch. Granted, Bryce, I got to tell you, I don't think the pads allowed you to follow through enough. If I was the umpire, I think I would have called it just a shade outside if it was a left-handed hitter. But still, good toss, good effort, Bryce Betcher. Good to see him back on the Oregon baseball diamond. Also, Michelle Owabete of Oregon volleyball sung the national anthem. And I am not being hyperbolic when I say this. I genuinely think it was, if not one of the best renditions of the national anthems I've ever heard. Like, it was really that good. And if you weren't at PK Park, or if you weren't at Matthew Knight Arena earlier in the volleyball season when she sung the national anthem on Senior Day for Oregon, then I just don't think you understand quite how good Michelle Owabete is at singing the national anthem. It was really something special, and it kicked off the game in great fashion because the Ducks absolutely dominated Oregon State on Saturday. A 13-1 victory because the Ducks scored early and then often because Oregon had 2 runs on the board before Oregon State even recorded an out. Dominic Hellman hit a 2-run home run in the first inning to put Oregon up 2-0. Then Drew Smith kept the scoring going with a 2 RBI single in the second inning. And then the Ducks all of a sudden were up 9-0 by the 5th inning. Beavers scored 1 in the 6th, but then Oregon answered with 4 of their own in the 6th inning. The Ducks were up 13-1 after 6. That would be the final score. Oregon hit 4 2-run home runs in the ballgame. Yeah, Mason Neville hit a 2-run home run. So did Dominic Hellman. So did Jacob Walsh. So did Maddox Maloney. When you hit 4 home runs and 8 RBIs combined on those swings, you're going to win a lot of ball games, and that's what Oregon did, and they got a strong start from Colin Clark. He threw 6 innings, allowed 4 hits, and gave up just a run against Oregon State in a 13-1 victory, which clinched the series for the Ducks on the weekend. And then into Sunday, Oregon had Jason Wrights on the mound, and it looked a little rocky early. Oregon State, the bottom of their lineup in the second inning, walked 4 times in a row to score a run, but then Jason Wrights buckled down. Got out of that inning, a 40-pitch inning, only allowing 1 run to come across, and ended up having a pretty solid outing. Went 5 innings, allowed just 1 hit, and then only that 1 run he gave up in the second. He really settled in. And then after a 4th inning where Oregon had a Jacob Walsh home run to kick off the inning, tied the ball game, Drew Smith walks, steals a bag. Maddox Maloney, he had one heck of a back end of the weekend on Saturday and Sunday. He had a 2-out RBI knock to give Oregon a 2-1 lead at that point. And then his next time up, he hit a home run, gave Oregon a 3-1 lead. Oregon State got a solo home run in the 8th inning to cut into the Oregon lead, but the Ducks in the back end of the bullpen on Sunday and all weekend were nails. Cole Stokes, Seth Maddox, Santiago Garcia, they combined for 2 scoreless innings in relief. Over the weekend, the Oregon bullpen combined for 9 innings of 1-run ball. The Ducks bullpen was really good this weekend. Oregon won Sunday 3-2. Oregon won all 3 games over the weekend. And what I think makes it a little bit more special is it was in front of a record crowd at PK Park. 12,424 fans in attendance at PK Park over the weekend. That is the largest weekend attendance in the history of PK Park. And that was really cool to see. And I got to tell you, fans, you made a difference and you made an impact. On Friday when the game got close, I can tell you Oregon State certainly heard you. On Sunday when the game got close, the Ducks were riding off of that momentum. Players were on the top step of the dugout, waving towels, getting the fans engaged. It was fun to be a part of, and thanks everybody for coming out to PK Park. A really good way to cap off and celebrate the whole weekend as a whole. There's only 5 more games coming up at PK Park for the rest of the regular season. Getting that regional. But for the rest of the regular season, only 5 more games, and 3 of them are against Washington. So you're going to want to make sure you're at PK Park for the rest of the baseball season. But we're still breaking down this weekend, and this weekend was a strong one. Coach Wasikowski, after the game, I think he's pleased with the effort from his team. The Ducks found consistency over a weekend series against a strong opponent. It was a big series win for Oregon. Here's Waz's reaction after the game.
You've been saying you feel like your guys thought they had more in them. Do you think they saw what they were hoping to see from themselves this weekend?
Yeah, sure. I think so. You know, it's a good team that we played, and we were able to win today and get a couple more on the weekend to, beat a good team. So, yeah, I think that was probably good for our guys to be able to see that and see that we can win in a lot of different ways.
How important was it just for the pitching staff to have not just one game or 2 games or the full weekend that they had kind of put all together?
They were tremendous, all the way down to the last arm. Santiago Garcia comes in there and was just absolutely nasty, and Cole Stokes before that, and just being able to pass the baton, and we're trying to use our guys the best we can, and credit to Coach Hawk. It's you got guys with a lot of talent on the pitching staff and no experience really coming into the season, and that's hard. It's hard to watch for fans sometimes. It's hard to watch for the coaches. It's hard to be in their shoes when they're struggling, but Coach has been very patient with them, and he just continues to show up to work every day and develop them, and we saw the results of that, so I credit him.
I know you said last weekend that game 2 is not what you wanted against UCLA, and you wanted the fans to know that they deserved better. Just what can you say about the environment at PK Park throughout the entire weekend, and what role that played in your success?
Well, we had 3 sellouts, right? And I guess fans, I'll put it this way, the umpire yesterday, yesterday's umpire and, 2 of the different guys at different times this weekend said this is the most incredible environment that they've been in on the entire West Coast. And they both said it without either one of them being around each other. They just kind of said it on their own. And so if that's what the umpires are feeling, obviously the kids are feeling that as well, and so are the coaches, and the energy they're bringing to the field is tremendous. We're earning some respect of our fans, which is great. We're trying. And we're going to have more home games coming up, and they're going to be big ones. I think we got one versus, a team from up the road, even higher up the road than these guys, that we're going to need this place packed and rocking when we get a chance to play them. So, the fans have been tremendous this weekend to have 3 sellouts, and we've had a lot of sellouts this year with UCLA and Michigan, the whole deal, and they're showing out for our team, which is really cool.
You said you guys need to see consistency. How big of a sample size do you need to see before you can say, okay, we're doing what we need to do on a consistent enough basis?
I don't know the answer to that. I think it's just game to game right now. Just, we saw it now one day in a row 3 times. And actually, our Tuesday midweek game, there were a lot of parts of that game where we played really, really well, and it was really disappointing to lose a game. But we didn't do enough to win it, and so there's no excuses there. That's on me. But, the more we go, we just go one day in a row, and if we can handle that, then we'll feel good about things.
Coach, you've talked to us a couple times about the importance of being able to win in different ways. What can you say about finding a way to win in a day where you struck out a lot offensively?
Well, we ran into a couple of balls, right? And so the strength that Daryl Hunter's helped us with in the weight room helps because the ball's going over the fence more than it ever has. So that's number 1. Number 2 is, I think, just being prepared to help our guys with the running game. I think the running game this weekend was a really big deal. We were able to do some things there that set us up for some key innings. Not all of them worked out, but we had ourselves set up for even more innings where we could have scored runs and multiple runs with just one more hit. And that's all you're trying to do is continue to pressure the defense, and I think we did that this weekend.
How big of an identity is that for you guys, your guys' ability to play small ball, bunt guys over, steal?
We just want to play good baseball. You can't win one way. You need to win a lot of ways. And, when the pitching is as good on the other side as it is and was today, you can't just throw your hands in the air and say, well, we're going to lose because their pitching's good. You got to figure out a way to win, and we were able to do that. So I was proud of the guys, just happy for the players that I get to represent.
After yesterday's win, you guys were saying that it still wasn't finished. After the rivalry win today and the weekend sweep, how does it feel to you and the team just getting this win out?
Good, and we get one more. Yeah.
Walsh had 3 strikeouts today, but he did have the big one that started off the offense and ended up being the run that you guys needed. What'd you like from him today?
Well, first and foremost, I like his leadership. He doesn't have the best day with the bat, and he's still able to contribute. He has a really good day over at first base with the glove again, and a lot of the plays he makes over there, it kind of get boring because it seems so easy. And those are hard plays. Picking balls out of the dirt is not easy. He makes it look very routine. He's got very good footwork around the bag. He's just a leader, and I'm just, I was tickled when he told me he was coming back to have him for his senior year. I mean, the kid is an awesome young man, just an awesome person, and to see him have success is really neat.
Back to that defense, Garotti and Maloney and Arrows on the left side of the field had it pretty locked down all game. What did you see from that?
Yeah, they were just ready to play. Tons of ground balls and some well-hit ground balls that, they challenged the infielders, and our guys stood up to the challenge on the well-hit balls and converted them into outs. That's not easy either, and they played really well. The defense was sensational today.
What did you see from Jason on the mound today?
He battled. He didn't have his best stuff, but he battled and he wanted to battle. He was like, I'm not coming out. He was adamant about not coming out. He'd shoot the one that when they got one in the second inning after he was loose with his command and he limited it to only one, we were planning on taking him out in the third inning and putting in a fresh arm right there, and he flat out came up to me and said, "You're not taking me out of the game." And so for me, that's huge progress. I don't think he would have done that probably last year from what I heard. He came to me flat out and said, "Look, I want to stay in this game, and you're not taking me out. I'm not ready to come out of this thing." And I was like, "Great, man, go get it," because we trust him and he's really good.
We've seen Maddox get on this type of hot streak before, specifically at Ohio State, where he's just crushing the ball. The 3 hits today, shoots one through the right side. How impressive has he been this weekend, especially against this pitching staff?
What about the best thing he did today? He had a couple RBI swings, which was awesome, but one of them plays that he made over in the 5-6 hole was just insane. That should be on SportsCenter. He played really well. He played really, really well, and I'm lucky to be able to coach that guy on a daily basis.
Going back just to Jason's mindset, do you feel like that's kind of the mindset of the whole team right now? That whatever it takes to win, that they're willing to do it. They don't want to come out. They want to have that opportunity that if things aren't going the way they want it, to improve it. And how important is that at this point in the season?
Good question. We teach it, but you'll have to ask the players that. I won't speak for them on that. We try to get that through to them, but, it'd be an interesting ask on the players.
Marquette leads off that 8th inning with a home run. You put in Cole Stokes, who's had kind of this up and down season. How important do you feel like that was to his confidence moving forward here, where you guys are going to need him to go out there and strike out 2 and get out of that inning unscathed?
Well, Cole's really good. He's going to be a major leaguer, and so to trust a guy that's going to pitch in the big leagues, despite the fact that at some points he's had not awesome times in the season, that kind of describes every player we have and every pitcher we have. And I bet Tony at Tennessee or Jay at LSU says the same thing. I watched them the last 2 days, and they got All-Americans that are struggling, and it's not about when you struggle, it's about what you do with it after you struggle. And so those guys are friends of mine. I know they've got guys in their own program that get in their own way. Everybody does, and so it's not about when you struggle, because they're all going to struggle at times. These guys are facing really good arms when they're trying to hit, and they're getting really good hitters. They got to get really good hitters out too. And so the true test of a man's character at the level is, what do you do when you fail? Because they're all going to fail. And you're starting to see guys grow after they've failed, and that's the one thing that I think that we're going to point to and continue to try to grow.
Going back to Maloney, he had a strong start of the season, strong past 2 games. How have you seen him grow throughout the season?
Well, physically he's really put together physically. He's only a sophomore, and so, he gets a chance to be back in college for another year. But his mentality is the biggest thing. He's seeing now that not only are they saying he's one of the best players in college baseball, but he feels it too. And I think you can see that in just how he walks around now.
Coach Wasikowski, after a series sweep of Oregon State over the weekend, there's still one more against the Beavers coming up on Tuesday up in Corvallis at 5:30. Joey Mack will be on the call with you on the Oregon Sports Network. It's also Oregon softball game day today as they close up a weekend in Indiana, breaking it down when we return after this on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear Truckin' Awesome, Toyota Tundra's got heart-pounding horsepower. Tacoma is one rugged ride, and the 4Runner is tough as nails. Truck yeah. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear Truckin' Awesome, Toyota Tundra's got heart-pounding horsepower. Tacoma is one rugged ride, and the 4Runner is tough as nails. Truck yeah. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
More Duck Insider from the Country Financial Studios after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
August was born 3 pounds, 9.8 ounces. When I first saw him, it was a whole range of emotions. There's stuff I still want to do. Being a young dad, it's not giving up. It's shifting. I looked through his eyes. I can envision a whole future with him already. To throw the first football to him, give him ice cream for the first time. My life is now devoted to his life.
Through all of fatherhood's firsts, never stop being a dad. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Ryan Milano with you, breaking down an Oregon softball series sweep over the weekend against Indiana, but it's also Oregon softball game day today. First pitch against Notre Dame coming up right after this show concludes at 2 o'clock. So make sure you tune on our friends at the student radio station KWVA. Make sure you listen to Hometown Call. Saul Galvan made the trip to Indiana for that series over the weekend, and the Ducks got a critical series sweep in Big Ten play over the weekend. On Friday, a 10-4 victory for Oregon, which took a long time because there was a healthy weather delay in between. But the Ducks were able to weather the storm, and they came out firing after the weather delay, scored 9 runs in a row en route to a 10-4 victory. And then on Saturday, Oregon got a 9-1 run rule victory, highlighted by Riley McCoy's 15th home run of the year. It set an Oregon freshman single-season record for most home runs in a season. It broke the 14 home runs that Jen Salling hit in 2007. Congratulations to Riley McCoy. And then on Sunday, things got close. It was the most interesting game on Sunday for Oregon against Indiana. The Ducks had 17 hits and needed all of them. Oregon got up 4-0 early and then 6-1 in the ball game, but Indiana found late offense, scoring 1 in the 5th and 3 in the 6th. The Ducks then were up 9-5 going into the bottom of the 7th inning, but Indiana scored 2 and loaded the bases with just 1 out. That's when the Ducks turned to Stacey Chambers, who came in, got the final 2 outs in a clutch situation to give Oregon a critical weekend sweep over the Indiana Hoosiers. Riley McCoy, Stacey Chambers, they got to speak briefly with Saul Galvan and Greg Walker about the win and the Sunday clutch victory for Oregon softball after the game.
Tough fought win, but good to come in here and get a sweep.
I mean, a sweep is always so fun. I mean, we love sweeping, and coming to a tough environment like this, it was really important that we just stayed focused, and everyone did their job, everyone took strain from one another, so it was a complete team win.
Stacey, talk about coming in the seventh inning there, just the pressure's on, and you really just bared down and got it done for your teammates.
Yeah, it's kind of corny, but I like to say that pressure is a privilege, and if I'm being completely honest, I didn't really feel pressure in that inning because we were up, and I was just getting the job done for the rest of the team and the rest of the staff and just doing my part in it.
This felt like one of the more high-pressure moments you've been in this season, especially as you come back from injury. Just how did that feel to go in there and get it done?
Well, once it was over, it felt great because I was like, wow, that's what I do, I've been in that type of situation before, and so when Coach called my number, I was like, you know what, it's nothing new. I've been here before, I've done this, and I just got to put the team on my back right now.
Riley, we talked to you yesterday. Not that anything's changed, but what was working well against today?
I'm just seeing the ball and honestly taking one pitch by one pitch and not getting too jumpy or whatever the case may be. If it's a high intense situation, I know my plan, and I'm trusting myself in all of the preparation that I put in, and knowing that Coach Rowe has my back on my game plan, and I'm honestly just sticking to what I know.
For both of you guys, talk about, saw it went deep on the bench today, had moved some players around and all that kind of stuff, but really was resilient in order to get this win. So just kind of talk about some of those players that came in and did some of those roles.
Yeah, honestly, we could put anybody out on that field and we'll get the job done. It doesn't matter what pieces are moving, or it doesn't matter who's on the field, we're gonna get it done, and we just handle business.
Yeah, I would just say we trust one another. Someone goes down and we want to do the best we can for that person, and knowing that if they were out there, they would want the same for us. We just honestly pick each other up, and we keep saying it, but our love for one another is so strong that we want to do anything for one another.
Riley McCoy, Stacey Chambers, big keys to Oregon's sweep over Indiana on the weekend in Bloomington. Riley McCoy took home Big Ten Freshman of the Week honors for the second time this season. Oregon has taken home 6 of the 12 Big Ten Freshman honors that have been given out this year. And it was a big win for Oregon as they now come into the stretch run of the season, in control in the Big Ten standings with 3 games to play. It was also a big weekend for a whole host of other Oregon athletic programs. It's going to be a quick 2-minute drill coming up, breaking down a ton when we return on Duck Inside on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating. And so, as a Black woman, In recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help and you're vulnerable. It is the thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
When we learn the power of hope, recovery is possible. Find out how at startwithhope.com. Brought to you by the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, Shatterproof, and the Ad Council.
I want you to know. I said I want you to know right now. You've been good to me, baby. Better than I've been to myself.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. It's time for the Cafe Yum 2-minute drill. We've got to go fast because there's a lot to touch on. Honors from the Big Ten office came down for Oregon women's golf in the season-long women's golf honors this year. Derek Radley takes home the Big Ten Coach of the Year. Radley joins Renee Bumgardner as the only other Oregon coach to be selected as Conference Coach of the Year. Kiara Romero took home the Big Ten Player of the Year award, first in program history to take the Conference Player of the Year. Also won the Mary Fossum Award for the lowest scoring average in the Big Ten. Kiara Romero, Karen Suru, and Suvachaya Vinachaitham got honored as all Big Ten first-teamers, while Tong An took home all Big Ten second-team recognition. Oregon women's golf had their Big Ten championships last week. Oregon men's golf had their Big Ten championships this weekend. Oregon finished fourth as a team in the Big Ten, shooting 15 over for the tournament. Grayson Leach finished second place in the tournament, carding 4 under through his 3 rounds. He finished 3 strokes back of the lead. Jay Gold Healy also recorded a top 10 finish for Oregon, shooting even par for the tournament. Oregon will await its destination in the regional round coming up on the selection show on Wednesday at 10 a.m. on the Golf Channel. You'll see where Casey Martin's squad is going to play in postseason. Oregon Acrobatics and Tumbling went to the NCATA National Championships over the weekend, advanced all the way to the final where the Ducks dropped to Baylor. It was a tight battle as the Ducks lost by 10 points. Coming into the team round, it was very close before Baylor gapped Oregon by about 8 points in the team round. Oregon, under Coach Susnara, set high scores in acro, tumbling, the team event, and team total during her 4-year tenure this year. It was a good weekend for the Ducks as the next day on Sunday in the individual event titles, Oregon took home 3 event titles. In the 7-element acro, the Ducks won. Oregon also won in the open pyramid, and Riley Watson captured the Ducks' final championship of the day, scoring a 9.775 to take home the 6-element tumbling title. Alexis Giardina and Blesson McMorris also earned All-American honors for Oregon Acrobatics and Tumbling. And over the weekend, Oregon Track and Field was in action at the Drake Relays. Shilan Ayildiz broke the collegiate outdoor mile record with a 4:25.5. The men of Oregon broke the 4x800 record with a 7:14. Claudia Kazimierska won the 800-meter. The Ducks men's DMR finished second in the Penn Relays. And there was so much more going on around track and field on GoDucks.com. Check it out. Packed weekend. Bye, everybody. Go Ducks.
Put your phone on D&D. That means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always sing with me. So put your phone on D&D. That means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you